The distress beacon wasn't supposed to reach Earth. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, where sunlight was thin and communications relays rarely flickered, a long-range listening array caught a fractured message riding on static. Carver 71 colony. Empire Patrol demands tribute. They'll sterilize the settlement. Anyone, please respond. Commander Elias Ward stood motionless as the audio replayed through the darkened briefing room. He was tall, sharp-jawed, and carried the heavy quiet of someone who'd buried too many regrets. His uniform bore the insignia of Fleet Strategic Command, but his eyes showed something more personal: memory. 3 years ago, he'd failed to respond to a similar call. By the time authorization cleared, the colony was gone. He never forgot the names. Ward's voice was controlled. Source verified? Lieutenant Ria Zaire nodded, fingers sliding across the hollow panel. Origin confirmed, Carver 71 mining colony. Civilian population 2,000. They tried to negotiate tribute with the Zeltharian Empire. That transmission was their last one. Ward leaned forward, hands braced on the table. Tribute? They're not under Empire jurisdiction. They are now, Ria said quietly. Empire annexed the entire sector 2 days ago. A holographic projection flickered above the table. An Empire dreadnought loomed over a frozen colony world. The dreadnought dwarfed the settlement like a mountain of metal. Ward exhaled slowly. What's on station? Closest Earth fleet group is 5 days away at FTL 8. Ria hesitated. Carver 71 doesn't have days. The room fell silent. Ward tapped his wrist console. Connect me to Earth Defense High Council. After a long moment, the hologram shifted, revealing Admiral Lennox, stern and exhausted, as if he'd aged 10 years in one night. Ward. I know why you're calling, Lennox said. And the answer is no. We aren't provoking a war with the Empire over one remote colony. Ward's jaw tightened. 2,000 people sent a plea for help, and we are one diplomatic misstep away from open conflict. Lennox's tone carried a practiced neutrality. Sending a fleet is a declaration of war. Ward leaned closer to the hologram. Standing by while civilians are exterminated is also a declaration. It declares who we are, another council member cut in. The Empire expects our fear. Sometimes the smartest move is restraint. Ward forced his voice to remain steady. Sometimes the only moral move is action. A heavy pause. Then Lennox's eyes softened. No fleets, but we'll authorize a single asset. Ward frowned. One asset? Lennox hesitated, as if measuring every syllable. The ESS Vanguard, Ria inhaled sharply. You're serious? Ward's pulse kicked. The Vanguard isn't field-tested. It doesn't need to be, Lennox replied. It only needs to arrive. The transmission cut. No further explanation. Ward stared at the empty air where Lennox's hologram had faded, then whispered to himself, one ship. The launch bay doors of Lunar Station Atlas peeled open like a steel flower, revealing the Vanguard, sleek, seamless, matte black hull drinking in every photon. No visible thrusters, no gun ports, no radiators. The ship looked more like a fragment of void than a vessel. Crew members paused mid-step to stare. Ria broke the silence. It looks unfinished, Ward smiled faintly. That's intentional. An artificial voice echoed through the platform speakers, smooth, female, patient. Commander Elias Ward, welcome aboard the ESS Vanguard. AI online, Ward noted. Designation? Lena, localized emotional neural architecture. My directive is mission success with minimum loss of life. Ria glanced at Ward. Even the AI sounds smug. Ward ignored the joke, stepping onto the boarding platform. Lena, prep jump calculations. Destination, Carver 71. Calculations ready. Estimated arrival in 4 hours, 18 minutes. Ria blinked. That's impossible. The nearest FTL lane isn't even mapped. Correction, impossible for conventional propulsion, Lena replied. Ward gave Ria a reassuring look. Trust me, she bends physics, not rules. Inside the command deck, the air smelled new, ionized alloy and fresh circuits. Displays lit up as Ward sat in the captain's chair. Sensors detected an incoming encrypted transmission. Ria patched it through. The hologram of an alien appeared, pale blue skin, ornate gold armor. Admiral Saraxis of the Zeltharian Empire. His expression dripped amusement. Earth sent a response. How inspiring. One ship? Ward kept his voice level. Release the colony. We don't want conflict. Saraxis leaned closer, lips curling. You think diplomacy is leverage? You misunderstand your place. The holo zoomed out, revealing a firing squad lining up civilian colonists under the dreadnought's floodlights. Tribute is law. Disobedience means cleansing. Ward felt his heartbeat pound. You harm them or what? Saraxis interrupted. You have one ship. The transmission ended. Rhea slammed her hand against the console. He's daring us. Ward stood, spine straight, every fear burned away by clarity. He wants us to retreat. He expects panic, Lena spoke softly. Commander, we reach weapons range in 21 minutes. Ward stared at the stars ahead. Tiny, indifferent lights scattered across the void. 3 years ago, he had hesitated. This time, he wouldn't. We're not retreating. We're not bargaining. His voice dropped to a vow. We answer the call. The Vanguard shuddered as its FTL core spooled up. Space distortions crawled across the hull, like ripples on black water. Rhea checked her harness, eyes locked on the viewport. Elias. You're sure about this? Ward didn't turn. People are counting on us. That's enough. A silent flash, then the stars elongated into white threads. The Vanguard vanished without a trace. Humans weren't running, they were arriving. The jump ended with a silent lurch. One moment, the ESS Vanguard stretched through folded space like a streak of light. The next, it snapped back into real space above Carver 71, a frozen world ringed by jagged ice ridges and dim mining domes. The planet hung below like a bruised marble, its atmosphere hazed with scattered storm bands. Commander Elias Ward checked the tactical display. Status? Rhea Zaire scanned the board. Jump completed. No system damage. Stealth field engaged. On the forward viewport, a massive shadow drifted across the colony. The Zeltharian dreadnought dominated the horizon, layered armor plates, spiny weapon clusters, and engines glowing with predatory heat. 3 smaller destroyers orbited nearby like wolves circling prey. Rhea's voice lowered. Empire's already in firing formation. Ward frowned. Are they targeting the colony? Negative. Yet. Ward leaned forward, jaw tightening. They think we'll negotiate, Rhea swallowed. Are we negotiating? Ward didn't answer immediately. He studied the colony's surface through the telescopic overlay. Tiny emergency beacons blinked around the mining domes. Civilians clustered outside the largest shelter. Even from orbit, he could make out shapes being corralled by armed drones. He remembered another colony. Flames. Silence afterward. Not this time. Open a channel, he ordered. To the Empire. The bridge lights dimmed as the holographic display activated. A blue-tinted projection shimmered into existence. Admiral Saraxis lounged in his command dais, high above the colony. His expression was relaxed, almost entertained. Human commander. I see your vessel. Sleek but small. Unarmed, perhaps? Ward kept his face unreadable. Release the civilians and withdraw. Saraxis tapped something off-screen, unimpressed. You crossed half the sector to negotiate? Admirable. Futile, but admirable. Ward's voice remained steady. Carver 71 is a registered human settlement. Saraxis smirked. Everything becomes Imperial property eventually. Rhea muted the channel and leaned toward Ward. He's trying to force emotional reaction. Ward nodded. He's expecting anger or fear. What does he get? Ward considered the dreadnought blotting out the stars. Clarity. Rhea reopened the channel. Ward spoke evenly. Admiral Saraxis, this is your only warning. Step away from the colony. Saraxis leaned in, eyes narrowing with amusement. Tell me, Commander, how does a lone vessel intend to stop me? Ward didn't blink. One action at a time. The holo cut. Lena, Ward said, prepare precision fire. Disable, not destroy. Acknowledged. Graviton Lance cycling, Rhea glanced at him. We're striking first? We're protecting civilians. That's different, sensors chimed. 3 destroyers altered course, heading straight toward the Vanguard. Rhea tapped her display. Weapons lock from destroyers. They're charging plasma batteries. Ward sat back, calm, unmoving. Lena, target the nearest ship. Engine cluster. Solution ready. Ward exhaled slowly. Fire! There was no recoil. No flash, no thunder. Instead, the space around the Vanguard rippled, as if heat blurred the stars. A distortion arced across vacuum, reached the lead destroyer, and vanished. The effect was immediate. The destroyer's engines died mid-burn. Internal lighting flickered out. The vessel drifted, momentum carrying it into a slow tumble. Rhea blinked. We killed power. Without impact. Graviton Lance folds a micro-well around the reactor, Ward said. Reaction mass stalls. No combustion. Rhea adjusted her headset. The destroyer is venting panic traffic. They don't know what hit them. 2 remaining destroyers broke formation and split wide, attempting flanking approach. New firing solutions available, Lena murmured. Ward raised a hand. Single beam. Second destroyer, a second ripple. A second ship went dark. The third destroyer panicked and fired wildly. Plasma bolts scattered into space, none close enough to challenge the Vanguard's mass. Ward turned toward the viewport. Message to the Dreadnought. Rhea transmitted a single line. Stop. This is your only chance to walk away. The Dreadnought answered, not with words, with action. A planetary bombardment cannon rotated and pointed, straight at the colony. Syraxis intended to make his statement. Permanently, Rhea's hand trembled. He's going to fire on civilians as punishment. Ward felt his heartbeat deepen, muscles coiling with memory, loss, regret. Graves without names, never again, he stood. Lena, move us into firing position. Direct path crosses into heavy weapon range. Tactical risk, high. Plot the course. Done, the air hummed. The Vanguard turned toward the Dreadnought. Syraxis reappeared on the main display, his voice cool and arrogant. Your interference ends now. Watch your colony die. Rhea looked at Ward, eyes wide. We need to strike before he fires. Ward didn't look away from Syraxis. We need him to believe he can fire, Rhea stared. Why? Ward's answer was quiet, sharp. Because when this ends, I want him to remember who we are. Syraxis's smirk widened. Then witness power. The Dreadnought's cannon began to glow, charging for atmospheric rupture. Ward lowered his voice. Lena. Yes. Commander. Disable the cannon. Trajectory solved. Ward nodded once. Fire. The distortion beam lanced out, silent, invisible, surgical. It slipped past shields designed for explosive force, not physics manipulation. The beam hit the cannon's power node. The weapon didn't merely shut down. It snapped, metal bending inward like it had been crushed by a colossal fist. The glow vanished. Ward leaned forward. Open visual feed to Syraxis again, the hologram returned. Syraxis stood from his throne, disbelief overtaking his composure. What did you do? Ward spoke quietly, every word deliberate. We disabled your weapon. Syraxis swallowed, voice cracking with sudden fury. No human ship, no human should possess that technology. Ward didn't raise his tone. He didn't need to. You threatened a colony and expected surrender, Rhea added, voice sharp as glass. You miscalculated. The Dreadnought lurched unexpectedly. Someone aboard must have panicked. Additional weapons powered up. Ward gave his final order. Target all secondary batteries. Strip the Dreadnought of the ability to fire. Confirmed. Multiple graviton distortions leaped across space. Turrets collapsed. Missile pods imploded. Shield emitters caved inward like crushed soda cans. The Dreadnought drifted, alive, but broken. No civilian casualties. No unnecessary destruction. Ward stood in silent resolve. You wanted tribute, he murmured. You got truth. Far below, colonists stared into the sky, watching the Empire vessel dim, powerless against a single human ship. Hope spread across Carver 71 like sunrise. The Dreadnought drifted like a wounded Leviathan. Its engines were dead. Its guns were silent. The Zeltharian Empire had never seen helplessness from the outside of their own firing lines, until now. Commander Elias Ward didn't celebrate. He stood at the center of the Vanguard's bridge, Hands folded behind his back, eyes steady as the tactical holo updated. Wreckage glimmered around the disabled destroyers. The colony below stabilized its atmospheric shields, switching from crimson warning to pale blue. Safe for now. Rhea Zaire finally exhaled. I can't believe it. We just disarmed a dreadnought. With no casualties. Ward didn't look away from the display. Empire doctrine relies on shock and fear. Take those away, their structure collapses. Still, Rhea said quietly, they'll escalate. Ward nodded. Count on it. Empire High Command. 38 light minutes away. Inside a gold-trimmed war chamber, Grand Strategist Karzan slammed a hand on the tactical table. His crest flared in rage. He disabled an entire battle group without firing a conventional weapon. Admiral Syraxis stood on the holographic platform, projection crackling with interference from the damage to his ship. It is impossible. Humans never possessed such capabilities. Karzan narrowed his gaze. Then explain your failure. Syraxis hesitated, his voice lowered. They sent one ship. The chamber erupted. Arrogance. Lies. Humans have nothing. They are primitives. Karzan silenced them with a gesture. One ship destroyed your squadron? Syraxis forced himself to speak. It didn't destroy us. It unmade us. The room fell into uneasy silence. Karzan leaned in, voice cold. Prepare the Imperial battle group. 42 warships. If humans want a war, they will drown in fire. ESS Vanguard. Bridge Rhea turned from her console. Multiple FTL signatures inbound. Large-scale fleet transition. How many? Ward asked. Estimating based on gravimetric fluctuation, over 40 vessels. Ward's expression didn't change, but tension rippled under his calm. The Empire wasn't retreating. They were bringing a fleet. Time until arrival? Ward asked. 5 minutes. Ward faced the viewport. Below them, Carver 71 rotated slowly, unaware another storm was coming. Rhea swallowed. 42 ships against one. Not even Vanguard can... Ward cut her off gently. We don't fight 42 ships at once. We control the battlefield. He tapped the command interface. Lena, recalibrate stealth field. Prepare an interior warp. Rhea spun toward him. Interior warp? Inside a fleet formation? He didn't explain. Lena's voice filled the bridge, still calm, almost soothing. Commander, the maneuver carries significant risk. Collision probability 38%, Ward replied without hesitation. Calculate new outcomes as we move. As always, minutes later, the stars peeled open. Like sparks from a dying fire, flecks of blue tore across space. 42 Imperial warships exited FTL cruisers, battle platforms, missile carriers. A full armada, their formation locked into a crescent. Every ship angled toward the colony and the lone black phantom. Vanguard, Rhea whispered. They came prepared for a siege. Ward remained still. The dreadnought's wounded bridge flickered to life on holo again. Syraxis reappeared, now backed by an entire fleet. Your defiance ends here, human, Ward replied quietly. Your fear began the moment you saw what we are, Syraxis snarled. You cannot hide behind mercy. This time we fire. Ward inhaled once. Slow. Lena, execute jump. The sound wasn't heard, but felt. Reality bent. The Vanguard vanished. Inside the Imperial formation, alarms screamed. Ships veered apart. Pilots barked orders. Unknown contact inside formation. How did it? Collision warning. Hard port. It's in our blind arc. It's right behind us. The Vanguard drifted into existence between two cruisers. Close enough that their shield halos overlapped. Ward's voice was low. Controlled. Destroy nothing. Disable everything. Graviton pulses ready, Lena replied. Begin. Invisible arcs rippled outward. A cruiser lost thrusters. Then a missile carrier went dark. Engines flickered off across the fleet like lamps in a storm. The Empire never trained for an enemy inside their formation. Ships collided while trying to avoid hitting each other. Two clipped hulls and spiraled. Another fired blind and hit an ally. Humanity hadn't fired a single explosive. Rhea stared in awe. We're turning their entire fleet into a traffic accident. Ward didn't answer. His jaw tightened, not from pride, but focus. He watched the tactical overlay. Not as a soldier, but as a surgeon. Next pulse, he ordered. Imperial Command Ship Curzon gripped the edge of the console. Why can't you hit it? It's inside our formations, moving faster than our sensors update. Curzon hissed, voice razor-sharp. Then stop the sensors from updating. Blind fire all batteries, Syraxis protested. That will risk striking our own ships. That ship crippled our battle group. Curzon roared. I will not be humiliated by humans. ESS Vanguard mechanical shrieks echoed as the Empire unleashed unfocused torrents of plasma and rail fire. The void burned with desperate, violent light. Rhea paled. They're firing everywhere. Even on each other, Ward's voice stayed level. That's what panic does. He watched as two Imperial warships collided. Shield failure, explosion. Not caused by the Vanguard, caused by fear. Open channel, Ward said. Rhea hesitated, then nodded. Ward spoke into the open frequency. Humanity doesn't win by force. Silence spread through comms. We win by choice. For the first time, the Empire listened. Ships drifted, powerless. The fleet ceased fire. Ward continued, steady and cold. Leave this system. Leave these people. And remember, his eyes locked on Syraxis' hologram. Humanity answers when called. Rhea cut transmission. The last active battleship jumped away. Others followed, limping, damaged, terrified. The fleet retreated. Carver 71 was safe. Rhea sagged back in her chair. We beat a fleet. Ward didn't celebrate. His gaze remained on the fading warp trails. This wasn't victory. It was only the beginning. The Empire now knows our ship, Ward said quietly. Next, they'll come for our world. He looked down at Carver 71, illuminated by the drifting wreckage of an armada. And we just announced to the galaxy. His voice dropped to a whisper. Humanity has teeth. Warning alarms pulsed across the Vanguard's bridge. Rhea Zaire scanned the tactical display. The dreadnought isn't retreating. It's powering a secondary weapon system. Commander Elias Ward leaned forward. Show me. The hologram updated. No cannons, no missile bays. Hidden beneath the dreadnought's central spine, a sealed chamber opened, revealing an angular device bristling with crystalline conduits. It pulsed with energy drawn directly from their warp core. Rhea's breathing hitched. That's not a weapon. It's a gravitational destabilizer. Ward froze. Planet Cracker? Lena, the ship's AI, confirmed quietly. The device generates a focused gravity inversion. Targeted at Carver 71's core, it will collapse the planet. Rhea turned to Ward, horrified. They're going to erase the colony out of spite. Ward felt something cold settle in his chest. The Empire was willing to destroy a world simply to deny victory. No warnings, no demands, just annihilation. The dreadnought transmitted. Admiral Syraxis appeared, lit by the violent glow of the weapon at his back. You have humiliated the Empire. So we will destroy what you came to protect. Ward didn't blink. You would kill 2,000 unarmed civilians? Syraxis smiled, slow and cruel. To remind the galaxy, resistance brings ashes. The transmission cut. The dreadnought began charging. Rhea spoke, voice strained. We can target the destabilizer. Ward shook his head. It's shielded. We'd have to overload the entire ship. Rhea stared. That could destroy everything, Lena added. Probability of mutual destruction, high. Ward tapped the edge of the command console, thinking. The Vanguard's hull creaked under the stress of rapid warp jumps. Internal systems struggled to compensate. He could feel the eyes of every colonist below, though they couldn't see him. He could feel the weight of every decision he made. Rhea whispered, We can still leave. We can save the Vanguard, then call for reinforcements. Ward closed his eyes. He saw the colony that died years ago. He saw the empty space where a world used to be. He saw himself not standing. Not again. He opened his eyes. Resolved. No running. Ward stood and fastened his harness. Lena, initiate vector approach. Direct course toward the dreadnought's spinal weapon. Rhea grabbed his arm. We'll be inside their firing arc. Ward's voice softened. which means they can't miss. And we can't either. Lena's voice changed, calmer, slower. Manual piloting enabled. Ward's hands wrapped around the control interface. The Vanguard shifted, its hull resonating as engines pushed beyond safe thresholds. The dreadnought rotated, lining the destabilizer's aperture toward the colony. The energy glow intensified. Violet lightning crawling around the weapon. Ward spoke over the rising hum. When we get close enough, we trigger a gravity-fold shockwave. Rhea blinked. That's untested. Not anymore. Approach vector, 20 kilometers out. The dreadnought fired. A beam of warped gravity tore through space, bending starlight and ripping microfractures in reality. The blast brushed past the Vanguard, close enough that metal groaned and instrument panels flickered. Rhea shouted, "Shields dropping!" Ward held course. Closer. Kilometers. The dreadnought adjusted aim. The beam swept toward them. Rhea grabbed the console. "Elias!" "We finish this." Kilometers. The weapon fired again, direct hit. The Vanguard shook. Sparks rained. The hull temperature spiked. Lena spoke through the chaos. "Commander, if we continue, the ship may not survive," Ward whispered, steady and absolute. "A ship can be replaced. A world can't." They reached target range. Ward pressed the final command. "Lena, gravity-fold shockwave. All power. Confirm? This will collapse both ships into the distortion." Ward pressed his palm to the console, granting command override. "Confirm." The Vanguard's core howled, pulling surrounding space inward. The shockwave erupted, a dense curve of compressed gravity spreading like a tidal surge. It slammed into the dreadnought's weapon housing. Plating imploded. Conduits ripped free. A shock of white energy flared as the destabilizer overloaded. Syraxis appeared on comm one last time, panic creeping into arrogance. "Stop this! You'll destroy yourselves!" Ward answered without hesitation. "We don't measure lives in power." The dreadnought ruptured. A bloom of silent white light swallowed the center of the ship, folding inward. Shields collapsed. Systems evaporated. The destabilizer collapsed into its own inversion field, swallowing itself and the dreadnought into a pinhole of distorted space that vanished with a soft flicker. Gone. No explosion. No debris, just absence. Silence followed. The Vanguard drifted, systems flickering. Smoke curled from cracked panels. Ward slumped back, vision dimming around the edges. "Damage," he whispered. Rhea coughed, waving smoke aside. "Warp core offline, engines disabled. But we're intact," Lena responded, her voice softened, almost tender. "Commander, you saved them." Ward didn't feel pride. He only felt relief. Carver 71. Colony surface, the settlers watched the sky as the Imperial ships jumped away, leaving only one black vessel drifting in their orbit. Families hugged, children cried, people collapsed on the snow, overwhelmed. The colony governor sent a broadcast across every channel. "To the crew of the Vanguard, thank you." Hours later, emergency beacon activated. Ward sat alone on the bridge, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. He felt the vibration of the emergency beacon pulsing through the hull. Earth would receive it soon. Rhea joined him, sitting on the floor beside the captain's chair. "You knew the cost," she said quietly. Ward nodded. "Heroes aren't the ones who win. They're the ones who show up." She leaned her head back against the chair. "You showed up." Ward looked at the viewport. Carver 71's sunrise broke across the ice, washing the world in gold and quiet. He whispered, more to himself than anyone else. "We answered the call." A soft chime interrupted. "Incoming FTL signature. Earth Fleet Command." Relief swept across the bridge. After a long silence, Rhea laughed, exhausted. "We live to argue with admirals another day." Ward finally let himself breathe. "Let's go home." The Empire expected surrender. Humanity sent one ship. The galaxy will never underestimate us again.